Hello everyone, welcome to Analyst Perspective, where we decode business analysts, careers and real stories behind success. Today's guest is someone who has not just built products but also building careers. And now he is helping hundreds of people designing their careers. From Amazon to Salesforce, and now the founder of Call Your Shots Coaching, we have Aditya with us. Get ready because this episode will change how you think about career growth, interviews, and personal strategy. Aditya, welcome to the episode. So good to have you here.
Thank you, Ajay. Thanks for having me.
Aditya, before we dive into Call Your Shots, will you mind sharing some background of yours to our viewers?
Yes. So I've largely been in the tech industry for more than 15 years. A couple of big companies I worked at, Amazon, Salesforce. I was with Amazon for 6 years, Salesforce for 7 years. And I got very fortunate. I had a chance to work on some really path-breaking, disruptive businesses like free one-day shipping. Until then, Prime was free 2-day shipping. I got a chance to work on the Alexa infrastructure and also the first ever Kindle devices that came out. We're building an ads platform for that. So I got a chance to work on sort of a lot of the startup type of ecosystems within the larger company. And then with Salesforce and Tableau, I think a lot of my role was in program management as well as strategy. That's where I really exercised that muscle and built my career on that front. These two companies encapsulate the bigger aspects of my career. I also have a master's degree from the US. I lived in the US for 15 years and then I moved to Australia in 2019. I'm originally from Chennai. I love playing sport. I love hiking. I love Formula One racing as well.
Wow, that's great to know. So after spending 7 years with Salesforce and 15 years with Amazon, Tableau, those multinational companies, and now the next step is your bold move, redesigning your career, redefining your path. What made you think of starting Call Your Shots?
Yeah, so I think the idea was first for me to take a break. I hadn't really envisioned the idea of starting a company. I wanted to just cool the jets and take it a little bit easy after working in these high-performing organizations. It sometimes burns you out. In the US, I was on H-1B visa, so I would end employment on a Friday, start a new one on a Monday. Never really got a break. In 2019, I was supposed to take a break coming into the country, but I didn't because I got an amazing opportunity and I jumped right into that. I reflected a little bit and I said, okay, I just need to pause a little bit and figure out what's next. And that's what made me take the leap. If I think about my Salesforce tenure in there for 7 years, I started thinking about taking that break a year before I left. So it wasn't an overnight decision. It was well thought out. Do we have enough financial runway? You have to work those things out. Is this the right time in life to do it? Am I going to regret this if I don't do this in the future? So I thought taking a break will be good for me, recharge, re-energize myself, and then come at the next part of my career in a more strategic way.
Oh, that's impressive. How did you navigate the fear and uncertainty in the market before starting this journey?
People might think I'm crazy to leave a really good job, voluntarily walking away from something like that. I still remember at the end of my 7 years when I told my manager that I want to leave the company and take a break. It was hard to even say it because we're taught to always have a job in hand. That's also the social conditioning that I come from India, as you might be able to relate to. And then you always have something lined up before you leave your job. For me, it was very scary. I'm very risk averse as a person, so that made it doubly harder for me. But I think when you start to see your life getting consumed, you're not in control of your life anymore. I felt that's where I was. I felt like I didn't have the time and energy to do things the way I wanted to do them. And I needed to sort of reinvent myself. And I think to overcome the fear, there's a couple of things I did. One is, there is a book called The 4-Hour Workweek. I came across it. It's by an author called Tim Ferriss. At the end of the book, there is an exercise that basically asks you about your deepest fears. And we always think the worst case scenario is we'll be begging on the street. But that wasn't the case. When I went through it, it's actually, my worst case is not so bad. And once I got that confidence, I was like, I need to bet on myself and see where this can go. I know it's scary, it's uncertain, but you also have to go back to the facts. If I've worked in these companies for a long time and have a little bit of reputation and experience, I can bet on myself for the future and see where life takes me. So that was the thinking behind trying something. It was very well thought out, carefully planned, but overcoming the fear was the hard part.
So that was your idea of thriving in ambiguity and building from scratch?
I think the builder mindset came right after, right? Okay. So the idea was to take a break. But 1 month into this, I started reflecting a lot because I had a lot of free time. I started thinking a lot about, okay, what's next? What should I do? I then started doing this exercise. What do I enjoy the most? What have I enjoyed in my career the most? Because I was volunteering a lot as a mentor, people started reaching out to me about, hey, I'm looking for some help. Initially, I was doing it pro bono, for free. Then I realized there can be some service offering here. So I said, why not build something from scratch? Apply the same builder mindset, but this time marry it with my purpose and see how I can help the community in whatever way I can. So that's how it started. Set up an ABN, started working with people, started networking a lot and reaching out to people, and that blossomed from that.
I was going through the numbers you posted in your last LinkedIn post, and I see the numbers. It was amazing, around 120 plus one-to-one coaching in last 5 months, 80% of repeat cohorts, around 25 plus job placement, Melbourne, workshop of around 500 students, and you arrange corporate workshops as well. In just 5 months, how you managed to do that so fast?
I think when you, and it's going to sound like a cliche, but when you enjoy what you do, you don't keep track of time. So that's what happened with me. I started doing it. I couldn't stop thinking about it. That's the reality of it. I used to be the kind of person who would not want to work on the weekends, but now I find myself working all the time. But I don't think of it as work. It's my creative journey. It's what I'm building. It's my own. My entire outlook and mindset has changed because of that. Because I was new to it, I started doing everything. In the beginning, you throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. I was trying to narrow down to understand my own niche. I had to try different things. I couldn't arrive at the niche until I knew what works, what doesn't work. So that goes back to that experimentation sort of mindset. Try something, fail fast, and then you pivot if you need to do that.
I come across a lot of organizations and a lot of individuals are doing the same thing into Melbourne, because Melbourne is a market of networking. There are a lot of people voluntary arranging meetups and helping professionals. What is different in your coaching style which take you above from others?
Yeah, that's a good question. See, I think the market has a lot of career coaches right now. A lot of people who've also been on a similar journey. You know what, I want to get off the corporate bandwagon and help other people, which is amazing. I love the fact that more people are helping people out. For me, it's not just about finding a job. They want to find fulfilling jobs. You spend 5 days of the week at your workplace. It has to be something that helps you grow intellectually, something that gives you food for thought. It's something that makes you feel fulfilled. What I focus on is, how do you grow yourself? It's not just finding a job. How do you design and build the right career for you? Something that energizes you, makes you feel like, wow, this is great, this is amazing. And not just grinding away, just doing something and having a very short-term mentality. So what I focus on is a very strategic, longer-term way of thinking about your career. And how do you design and take the steps to build that? In my own experience, I've had times where I've been navigating my career in a very tactical way. I didn't like one job, I'll go to another job. Or I didn't like this role, I'll go to another company. But that's typically what people do. It's either driven by, somebody is giving me a 20% pay hike, or I've stagnated in this role, I just want to go do something else. But very few times we ask ourselves, is that the right move? Like, is contributing to the longer term career plan that I have? When you don't do that, you shortchange yourself. The biggest growth I experienced was when I took those moments of stepping back and asking myself, where do I really want to go based on what I'm good at? There is that intersection that I talk about. What are you good at? What are your goals and aspirations? What does the world want? And what can you get paid for? When you find the intersection of this, you've designed your ideal career.
That's a great strategy to find out the intersection of yours to move forward. Now, coming to the current market, it's very different. Some people are talking about that it's a pre-COVID era. Most of the big corporates in Australia are now going to hire these IT companies. They are not hiring more perms. because there are visa challenges, there is a competition growing, AI is taking over. How do you see the current job market? Because you are working with people who are looking to uplift their career. There are students who are coming to the job market right now. What do you think? Where is heading?
Yeah, it's a relevant question for now because I think it's a hard market. It has not been that the demand is too much and the supply is very less. Companies are conservative because of geopolitics and the global turmoil of things. There's so much uncertainty. So companies are not betting so much on hiring too many people. And then obviously with AI, there are companies trying to cut back and see if AI can replace some of those more entry-level roles, which AI does beautifully, by the way. So there's also the tranche of companies who are now setting up their hubs in India, for example. They're creating these global capability centers. Because I heard about Telstra, REA, and all these companies setting up shop in India. One can do really in this market is really find out how can they stand out. You know, what is your key differentiator? Ask yourself, what is my value proposition? What does Aditya do that somebody else cannot do? You have to find those things that are going to help you differentiate yourself. And you build a brand around that. Branding is not optional anymore. Earlier, LinkedIn branding or having a personal portfolio or a website was optional. It's no longer optional. Everyone has to do that as a part of our evolution. At the end of the day, survival of the fittest.
Correct.
What I think. The other thing I notice with my clients is they all use very cookie cutter resumes. It doesn't really communicate impact. I don't care about what you've done. I care about how you did it and what impact you delivered to the organization. You know, this is a reference that I used in the past, and I'll say it again. I have a headache. Do you have a Panadol for my headache? That's what I want to know. So that's where the rubber meets the road, and you are making an impact when we're having this conversation.
No, that's rightly said. And you specialize in interview and personal branding. What is happening with current generation is that they know how to do the work, but they don't know how to communicate it. So what are the key mistakes you feel that these professionals are doing these days where they are not able to communicate it properly?
In the interview format, obviously that's more accentuated, right? Even people who come from overseas, for example, and they're trying to assimilate and figure it out, it's very hard. I've moved 2 countries. I know how hard it is. Even when I came to Australia first, I thought it would be easy. It's another English-speaking country. How hard can it be? But it's completely different. The culture is completely different. I couldn't understand some of the things people were saying. I had to ask them to slow down and repeat themselves because people sometimes hesitate and they're scared to ask them to do that. But it's okay to be able to say, hey, look, I really quite didn't follow what you said. Can you repeat that for me? So those are small things. But from an interview standpoint, that's where the branding plays a big role. And fundamentally, the starting point of that is what we call an elevator pitch. You're stuck in an elevator with someone for 20 seconds. Can you say something to them in that time that's going to leave them with, oh, wow, that's great. I need to talk to this guy again. That's sort of your pitch. So working and rehearsing your pitch is critically important. When you do that, the rest of the interview becomes a breeze. You're going in confident. You've delivered your pitch. And the advantage of the pitch is you can rehearse it ahead of time. It's not some question you haven't prepared for. Once you deliver it confidently, the 2 questions, tell me about yourself and why should I hire you? If you nail these 2 questions, you've already made an impression. As a hiring manager, I am less worried about this candidate performing on the other questions. Their demeanor and body language changes and they appear more confident as well. That's a common mistake. And because they're not prepared, they start rambling. They go off in a tangent and then there's the uhs and the pause. The storytelling becomes very robotic. But you want to have more intonation and storytelling in the way you speak. People don't spend enough time on. They go and prepare how to answer the technical questions. That's great. But how you extract yourself and tell whatever you did on the technical side is meaningless if you cannot tie it to the organizational impact.
When I hire someone, you can teach technical skills, but if the person is not fit in the environment of the organization, that will create a bigger problem. Now, you touched on personal branding. What does a strong personal brand actually look like?
It's something that I think you, first of all, have to take a step back and identify what is your brand. When we talk about branding, it's something that you stand for, that you're known for. If you take Oprah Winfrey in the US, she's known to be a philanthropist and someone who's a talk show host. who fights for the good. People who in the tech industry are doing work to change the world. Like Steve Jobs is a visionary. That's his brand. Like he's someone who has thought 100 years ahead of his time, right? He wanted to build these incredible products that shape the way we actually live and behave. He put things in the hands of people they didn't even know they wanted.
Correct.
So that's his brand. So everyone has a brand. But if you don't create a brand for yourself, then I think we become less, we merge into the crowd. We become noise in the crowd. You want to be sound, not noise. For that, I think in my case, when I think about and reflected on my own career, that to me was that whole thing about being a builder. Building from scratch is my brand. That's why I love doing that. You give me a one-line requirement, I enjoy those problems. How to break it down, how to make it into tangible deliverables and things like that. So then when you build that, when you have an understanding of what that is, you will write your elevator pitch accordingly. So that will start to come out. Then in your LinkedIn, you'll start posting around this being your brand. And then it starts to shape up and come together when people meet you everywhere. Your digital footprint, your offline footprint, they all will resonate and communicate the same aspect of what your personal brand is.
That's true. Now, this channel is for business analysts. So I will throw some questions related to business analysts.
Yes.
So what should a BA focus on to accelerate the career, in your views?
There's a couple of things, right? One is there's two sets of people, or some people are like, you know what, the job is a means to an end. I'm happy just doing what I'm doing, and there's nothing wrong with that. And there are ambitious people who say, you know what, I want to get to the next level, or I want to get to a next career sort of option that is suitable for me. And some people go down the product owner route. For people who are generally upskilling and getting into the BA career path, know that you do have other options as well. The BA is not the final thing. You could go senior, principal BA and keep growing like that. But constantly what you want to be building is leadership skills. Yeah. Because you're the liaison between the business team and the technical teams. You want to be sort of balancing that, creating more and more value for the organization. That's really where I think, beyond just the user story writing, beyond just putting together UML diagrams and things, which is a very core part of your job. Yeah. But what are those leadership skills you're going to demonstrate? Can you drive consensus? Can you influence without authority? Can you go and resolve a conflict between two parties that are butting heads with each other? If you are able to showcase those things, then your leadership will start noticing you and say, oh, you know what? I think we should have this person in this meeting. You get a seat at the table. And you'll start to become part of important conversations that will propel your career. So that's the soft skill side of it. On the technical side, technical upskilling is no longer optional. In my experience, I've seen somebody who's technical versus not. The technical person is always more successful.
Technical is not optional. It is mandatory.
The more powerful you are on the technical side, the more your team will respect you as well. If you're somebody who doesn't understand the technical side, you're just throwing something over the fence. I think the team that's building is not treating you as an advisor or as a partner. They're treating you as hostile. Oh, you're just throwing something and forcing us to do it. But for you to build a partnership, it's that shift that comes and says, hey, I understand the configuration of the system. I understand your challenges. Oh, I understand we can't build it this way. If you speak their language more and more, then you become a better partner. And by virtue of that, you are more popular and more recognized in your organization.
I have experienced this. I always tell my BAs, don't be the postman. Just take the requirement from product owner and give it to the technical people. The key thing is that you have to write those requirements in a way that business can understand and techies can also understand what they wanted to build. When BAs apply for these roles, what do you think they should do to stand out from the crowd?
The job of a BA is largely very cut out in terms of what the expectations are. I think being able to showcase the technical side is one, the business analysis, your ability to gather requirements effectively is fine. But if you go beyond that and say, what makes you good at gathering requirements? It's not okay to say, I'm good at gathering requirements. What's the evidence of that? Show me where you have demonstrated that. So if you think about the BA life cycle of everything you do from start to finish in a project, at every step of the way, what value have you created? Extract those things and then talk about it in your talk track. Then you start to come alive. It goes back to my point about the how is very important. The what is fine. This is what I did. This is what we helped launch and things. Great. Next step is, how did I do it? I took this idea, I went and got approval from my stakeholders. Then I wrote this business case document that was translated into these user stories. I asked all these pointed questions to my stakeholders who were all completely misaligned. I brought them onto the same page. It's those types of things that are going to make you stand out in the market.
So one thing I like about your LinkedIn post saying, I put a blank canvas and build something again. Most of the professionals don't take those steps. They're just drifting their career. Whatever they are doing it, they keep doing it. If somebody wanted to design their career from scratch, what approach should that professional take? What is your advice?
First of all, I'll say everyone should do it.
Yeah.
I believe everyone has a purpose where you are today, because you have a certain purpose, you just need to find that. But that starts with self-introspection. Instead of going from job to job, role to role, taking that step back and asking, what do I enjoy? What have I not liked at all through my career? What are my abilities? What would people say about me in my workplace? So I think asking yourself these really deep questions is going to help you understand, okay, until now I have been doing all this. But you know what? My values or what's important to me has changed. Now, what does the new world look like for me? And that happened to me as well. I reinvented myself from my 20s and 30s and things like that. Because you want different things out of life. And what drives you and what motivates you changes. So I would say you have to bet on yourself.
Yeah.
So that you live only once.
Correct.
You have to bet on yourself. But you don't have to be reckless about it. Once you start thinking about what am I good at, like that, it goes back to that intersection. Once you find that intersection, and take help if you need to from career coaches and mentors. I'll give you an example. I had no idea what I was doing until I got a mentor. Mm-hmm. When I got the mentor, they opened the possibilities for me. Based on everything you've told me about what you can do or what you've done, these are some options available to you. I didn't even think about those options. They open up your mind in a way where you haven't even thought about it. And they validate your assumptions. They also challenge some of those things that you have been limiting yourself on. They give you words of encouragement. So I think it's critically important now more than ever to get some kind of a mentor or a coach. And I'm not saying you have to go into a coaching program. Find someone, anyone, right? Like it's someone you respect, somebody willing to give you some time, and see if you can gain a lot of knowledge from them. My career just went really fast over the period of 3 years to a senior manager because I had the right person showing me the path, which I didn't see until then.
I can totally relate with this thing. When I was struggling for 6 months to get my first role in Australia, I did a course with an organization called MES. That organization was suggested to me by Centrelink. They help you in writing your resume and tell you how to apply for the role and also assign you a mentor. And the mentor was the CIO of Toll at that time in 2017. So I went to his office and told about me, what I usually do, what was my career in India, what I'm looking into now. Then he said, you look like a business analyst to me, because I was an SAP consultant earlier. So it was the same role, but the word business analyst from him. And he said, if you learn about this particular skill and start applying for that, you will definitely get a job. And then magic happened. Within 3 days, I get a role. So you said it rightly that having a right mentor and validating your skill with those kind of people is very important.
Because we don't have people like that in our lives on a day-to-day basis. Yes. No one is sitting down with us and asking us these questions,
Correct.
Or being that sounding board. And I think that sounding board is the difference between an okay career and a great career. If you want a great career, get help, find people. I have what I now call personal board of directors. These are mentors and coaches that I actually have. I meet with them on a monthly or quarterly basis. I run my ideas by them. I check in with them regularly to make sure that I'm building my profile up. For me to be an effective coach or a mentor, I need to keep upskilling as well. So they are the ones challenging me on that front. So I think it's that continuous cycle of growth that you want to get into, and that sometimes doesn't happen on our own because we get too stuck in the weeds of just doing the job, going home and paying our bills. You just need to extract yourself from that so you can design and build the career that is most suited to you.
That's perfect advice. Now we are moving to the next segment, which is my rapid fire round. I will ask you a couple of questions. You can say the first thing, whatever comes in your mind. First one, One habit that changed your life.
I think reading.
Best advice you give in interviews.
Always nail your elevator pitch. The rest of the interview is a breeze.
Amazon or Salesforce, which shaped you more?
I cannot say one or the other in some ways, but because I started my career in Amazon, it's a place that taught me how to write. There's nothing that sharpens your brain like writing.
One book everyone should read.
The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. It helps you understand how do you become financially savvy and conscious, so then you can go and do the things that you want to do.
Tea or coffee?
I come from the land of filter coffee, so coffee is my go-to, but on a nice rainy day, there is always chai and pakoda.
And favorite productivity hack?
Putting your phone away for extended periods of time and just being present with your thoughts.
One thing you wish professionals stop doing?
Do not outsource your creative work to ChatGPT. The intellectual atrophy is real. You will get less and less smarter if you keep doing that. For some things, ChatGPT is incredible. Built me an agreement to send to my clients. It would have taken me hours to do, but I don't outsource my writing to ChatGPT. I will make mistakes even. There might be grammatical mistakes, but that's your authentic self. And your brain is continuously keeping sharp.
And in the final segment, I heard about a surprise bonus which you are offering to your new clients who wanted to connect with you and get coaching from Call Your Shots coaching company. Do you want to talk about that offer with our viewers?
Yeah, absolutely. I launched my website last week, which was very exciting. And, I think finally people can go and see what are the resources available to them. On my website, there's a few nice podcasts, especially for people who are new to Australia, who are just trying to find their way. All my services are listed there. I usually do an exploratory 30-minute call for people who want to work with me or just want high-level guidance. But now I'm making that 1 hour, so they get twice the amount of time and a resume review. At the very least, you'll walk away with a much better understanding of what to put in your resume and maybe some tips and tricks on what is the things you should avoid in the job market. How do you really position yourself for success? So that's for the next 10 people, that limited time offer exists.
Thanks, Aditya, for being part of today's discussion. I know we have taken a lot of time of yours, and I find this discussion so productive for my personal growth. I will definitely connect with you on this. And for the viewers, if you wanted to learn more about Aditya, connect with him on LinkedIn and go to callyourshots.com.au. Stay connected with Analyst Perspective to learn more about business analysis, to learn about career journeys and the techniques which can help you elevate your career. Thanks again, Aditya.
Thanks for having me.